I am Jimbo Paris, and you are listening to The Jimbo Paris Show. Okay, how's it going, everyone? This is Jimbo Paris here. Welcome to The Jimbo Paris Show. So we have Daniel B. Gomez, an award-winning keynote speaker. Let's hear what he has to say.
Jimbo, my man, what's going on, sir? How you doing, man?
Great.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm grateful to be on your show. I brought the energy today, so I'm ready to drop some massive value to your audience and let them know what the Jimbo Paris Show is all about, man.
All right, thank you. So for the first question, can you kind of tell me who you are, what you're about, and what your message is?
Man, well, my name's Daniel Gomez Inspires, and I love people, and I'm about just adding value to people. And one thing I realized, Jimbo, is most people, over 90% of people undervalue themselves and who they are. And 5 years ago, right, my wife was diagnosed with breast cancer, and my life just went upside down. God has a way of getting our attention, and when she was diagnosed with breast cancer and she had a double mastectomy, she got depressed on me. So I, as the husband, had to make a decision. Was I going to continue working and running a dealership, multi-million-dollar corporation, or was I gonna resign and take care of my wife? So I made a decision to resign, honor my vows, and I took care of my wife. And along the process, God told me to go out to the world and become a motivational speaker. And as they say in show business, the rest is history.
So where did your faith begin?
You know, I was 26 years old. I'm 48 years. So to give you a point of reference, I'm 48. I was 26 years old. My dad got sick on me, and he was diagnosed with colon cancer. And they gave him a month to live, literally 3.5 weeks to live. I just remember crying outside the hospital. I went home and got so drunk because just didn't know how to handle it, to be honest with you. And that next day, I went to the hospital, and they were there praying for my dad. And I just asked God, I don't know who you are. I said, I believe in a God. I don't know you as God, my God. And I just said, if you help my dad live longer, I'll serve you the rest of my life. And went home and woke up the next day. And my wife she thought I lost it, right? Because the spirit in me just woke up. And ever since then, God's just been in my life. So it's been 22 years, man. My dad ended up living, by God's grace, another year. I got a whole year with him, and I spent that whole year with him. That was my first journey in entrepreneurship. We did a piñata. We had a piñata store, and he ended up passing away. But I'll tell you what, I was grateful that God gave me that additional year with my dad. So I spent pretty much every day with him. So it was pretty amazing.
And when you what was the first step you took into entrepreneurship?
It was at that season. So when my dad was sick, right, he came to live with us, and I just felt it in my heart to do something. And there was in piñatas right here in the Mexican culture, there's like little party favorites that you beat up. They look like cartoon characters or different trucks, cars, whatever. And we went and bought a big old U-Haul looking truck. We loaded up with 200 piñatas, and I'd go knocking on doors, and we were doing good. Actually, we were doing really, really good. And then I just kind of got my feet wet as entrepreneurship. I was 26 years old when we opened the store, had it open for like a year and a half. And after he passed, my heart wasn't in it anymore, and I didn't want to do it. But I'll tell you, we closed down the store, but I learned so many valuable lessons about myself that I could do it, right? Because that was really the first time I went and sold for myself. And it just made me stronger, right? I think so many times right now and today, a lot of young entrepreneurs want to be successful. They want to be an Instagram star. They want to be famous, and they don't have no grit. They don't have that foundation, that ganas, right? I can teach you anything, but I can't teach you to have heart, Jimbo. And I can't teach people how to have heart, but that's the secret sauce to anybody's success. If you don't have that grit, I call it corazón, right? If you don't have that corazón, you're not going to make it. You're going to be easily discouraged. And believe me, I've cried many times. And even today, right, as we grow, right, I'm always elevating and ascending to higher levels. But it's always a point of really stretching your faith, stretching what you can do on your own, and then relying on God for the rest. But let me tell you, there's still tears along the way.
And grit is a combination of passion and perseverance. And I could already feel by you that you have both of those things. And is this where this high energy you have comes from? Does it come from that passion that you have in your business and what you do?
You know what breaks my heart is when
Well,
I see somebody, right, that has potential. They have it in them. They have it. But the sad part, many don't see it, Jimbo. Many don't see it. And you're like, what are you doing wasting your life? Like, what are you doing living mediocre? What are you doing living average? And this is the thing that you don't realize, right? I was looking at the Olympic medals, and the reason I bring that up is in America, right? In America, I was looking back to 8 years ago, because it's every 4 years. Every year in America, our gold medals seem to kind of come down. And right, but the reason is because the standard for average, right? The standard for average comes down also. So even though we'll just say you were average 15 years ago. Well, now if you're average, you're even below average now compared to 15 years ago. And people don't realize that their standards are being compromised. And because their standards are being compromised, they're not even tapping into the potential, a fraction of it. And it's sad but true. But it breaks my heart to see somebody that says, you could be doing more with your life. And right, I get it. Not everybody's meant or born to be an entrepreneur, but it doesn't matter. Even if you're one of those that supports a business or has that career track, I get it. Right, my wife loves what she does, but I always push her. Hey, you can always become more, right? And it's like the great Jim Rome said: to have more, you must become more. Everybody wants the more, but they don't want to become more and go through the process because it's painful sometimes, and you got to go through that painful, right? You're not going to get the gold bold. You're not going to get that success, that reward, that $1 million contract until you go through the process and your character is ready to handle that much success, Jimbo.
hmm and you mentioned going through the process, and I'm seeing that thing you have behind you, and you say you must learn to think like a millionaire. So is that part of the process?
Yeah, well, so our new book just came out, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, and we've been doing phenomenal. It's on Amazon. We've been selling 3 books a day, and it's by God's grace, it's been great. But so many people, they think, right? They think that you get $1 million, I'm a millionaire. No, because think about this. Lottery winners get millions of dollars and they're not millionaires because they lose it within 2 to 3 years. Why? Because they don't have the capacity, they don't have the mindset, they don't have the thought processes needed to handle that capacity of money. So what happens is, if you don't have the capacity, this is where most people mess up in business, right? Especially men, because this was me. I'll be honest with you. We don't know how to receive. We don't know how to receive a compliment. So if we can't even receive a compliment, how can we receive thousands and then 10,000s, hundreds of thousands, and much less millions? So you really got to frame and recognitive frame your consciousness to really start the start process of becoming a millionaire and thinking like that. And then
Mhm.
once you start the process, you gradually start to ascend even further, right? You elevate, you up level to the next level, and then you start attracting higher level of business clients, higher level of just living. And it's a process. But most people, they want to go from that used clunker car to a Rolls Royce. And it doesn't work that way because you don't have the capacity to handle that level of success.
So is that how you developed your capacity?
Oh man, I tried a lot, bro. I'd be, you know, you. The thing is, this is we all have. I call it in the book, right? In my book, I call it a set point. We all have a financial thermostat. In the book, I call it a financial thermostat. And what financial thermostat is we all have a set point of monies that we make, whether it's 40, 50, 100,000 USD. We all have that comfort level. And once we hit that, say, we'll just say it's 50,000 as an even number. Once you hit 50,000, all the things you did to get you there, you stop because you already hit it, right? You hit your goal in your mind. My bills are paid. I'm good. But what if you raise your set point? If you raise that financial set point, that financial thermostat to higher, think about how many people you could help along the world that maybe need some additional help. And for me, right, I was in the automotive industry. I ran multi-million dollar dealerships for many, many years. I had a high set point because we make real good money in the automotive industry. So right away, as soon as I started my business 5 years ago, I went from 0 to 100,000 like that in the first year because that was my self-image. That was my financial set point. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
And
That
and
does, yeah.
and most, right, most people that come out of 9 to 5, we'll just say in America 9 to 5. Well, what happens is this is that their financial set point is at 20, 30, $40,000 a year. So they struggle just to even hit that because they don't have that financial set point and they have a different thought process.
Huh. Okay. Okay. And you say you were in the automotive industry. You kind of look like someone who would be a very good salesman or something.
I was on the track. They call it the track. I sold cars for 3.5 years
Yeah.
and just worked my way up, became a sales manager, desk manager, new car manager, GSM, to ultimately I ran a Chevrolet dealership. I still wear my Chevy dealership ring, right? General
Hey.
Motors, because it's just a conversation piece. But it's that's where I got my grit from. That's where I got my substance of not giving up and persevering and knowing that, guess what? They might have said no today, but whoever said no, I'm that much closer to a yes. And that's the way you have to think, right? Because, right, someone out there needs your services, Jimbo. Someone out there needs my services. And if we keep on knocking, keep on going forward, keep on being gritty, sooner or later, God's going to reward us with a good client because the fact that we didn't give up and we believed in ourselves.
Excellent. And how did, you know, these people that kind of look for you and try to find out who you are, how did you start finding these people? And what did they need from you?
A belief in themselves. Most people, there's two things that I've realized, right? There's actually three things. Most people don't have the confidence to take action. So they lack the confidence. And then they lack the belief in themselves. And since you lack the belief in yourself, what happens is this is you don't trust yourself. And because you don't trust yourself, guess what? If you don't trust you, then how can Jimbo trust Daniel? If I don't trust myself, how can I trust Jimbo? So it's really people that find me is I just put out content pretty much. I have a great following. We have close to 15,000 followers on LinkedIn. We have a great following on Facebook and we started using TikTok a little bit and Instagram. But my big main social media platforms are LinkedIn and Facebook, and then also we use Pinterest a lot. But I say that because when you put out a message, your content to say, right, it attracts the right people to you. And one thing that I do is I'm consistent. And a lot of new business people, they don't see the immediate gratification, the immediate reward. So they give up, right? You got to give yourself from day one at least a year, kind of like podcasting, right? Because we do podcast production too. Most podcasts don't make it to 10 episodes because most people give up, right? Because they it's the truth. They don't make it to 10. Like you're an exception. You're a freaking gold medalist because you're almost at 100 already. And I want to admire you for that. Congratulations. Really, I mean that. You'd be surprised if you look at if you do some research of how many podcasts start on iTunes and then stop in 10. It would be phenomenal. And that's why now iTunes, when you start a podcast, they make you, right, you have to preload at least 3 to 5 episodes. If not, they won't even approve you because they know if you just do one episode, they're not going to waste your time in approving it. It's not worth their effort. So I say that because just the fact of you, what you're doing, you're already winning because you're already at episode 87.
Thank you. Thank you. I've heard of that number as well. I've heard, so when it comes to you and your consistency, though, personally, how did you sort of train that consistency in other people?
I think you got to lead by example. And a great example is my son. I'm 48 years old. And I would say, by God's grace, I'm in better shape than most 20-year-olds in America, most 30-year-olds in America, because I value myself. And when you value yourself as a human being, you take care of your body, right? If you want to know if somebody values themselves, look at how they look. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude, but it's truth, because you do the inner work, of course, and then you got to do the outer work. So I always went to the gym. I always worked out since I was younger, right? Since I was 15 years old. And I inspire people, or I lead people by example, right? So many people, They want to talk and talk and talk. No, what are they seeing in you that is consistent? And like my son now, my son, he kills me on bench press. He bench presses over 300 pounds. He deadlifts over 400, and I still take him on curls, but he's pretty stout. But he has a good workout regimen because he's seen me day in day out work out. And now recently, since we've been in our new house, he came back from school for a while. It's like I have my little prayer room over here where I spend time with God in the mornings, and he notices that, so he's changing the way he sees his relationship with God. So it's really just being a leader that leads by example. And I think so, that too many times there's leadership out there that they're insecure, and if you're an insecure leader, you're going to micromanage your team, you're going to micromanage your family, you're going to micromanage because of your own insecurities. You deflect those insecurities on your family, on your team, on your employees, and all you're doing is self-sabotaging the success that you could be at.
Excellent. And I completely agree. You need to be a well-rounded human being. You need the health, you need the business and the financial success, and you also need the faith. You need all of those things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's important because the thing is this, is that is if how can I coach somebody if I don't have some form of credibility, some form of substance to it? And what I mean by that, right? I mean, we do well in business, but how can I get somebody who's worth 100 times more than me to believe in me? Right. And it's because they see that I bring the passion, I bring the energy, and that I care about them. And they see the value I place on myself. So in order to have people that are of higher net worth to believe in you, to want to hire you, they have to see that you believe in yourself and that you take care of yourself and that you mean what you say. And so many people nowadays, they just they're shallow, right? It's a shallow just level of who they are. But no, I mean, hey, I don't have a problem telling somebody I cried, man, because you know what? Because if you're a human being, you should be crying too. If you fail, we're all gonna fail. But if you can't be authentic, and one thing that I spot that really upsets people sometimes, because I call them out on a pre-qualification call that we have, you know, they try to have this false self-confidence, and I just nip it in the bud because I can sense that I have insight to that. So you know what? I just read people's personalities and their language, and I'm like, you struggle from a thing of, oh, yeah, you have false self-confidence. Well, what do you mean? Yeah, you're blowing up like a clownfish and trying to be bigger than what you are on the outside, because inside you feel insecure. And it's not that you're confident, you have a false self-confidence, and I can see right through that. And they're like, it catches them off guard and they don't expect it to be said.
Wow. And when we think about this, who would you consider your ideal client, and who would you consider a client that you wouldn't want to work with?
I wouldn't want to work with somebody that's makes excuses and doesn't want to change. I think any coach that starts off, everybody starts off somewhere. And I think about some of the clients that I had when I first started off 5 years ago, right? You kind of get your feet going and you try to get your business going. And some of those clients, I wouldn't take them anymore because of the fact of they just made excuses or didn't show up sometimes. And I think now my ideal client is really that successful businessman or woman that is making, say, 500,000 to 1 million, and they want to elevate and up level their business to 5 million, 10 million. I have several clients that way because I can see, I understand business. I understand business, right? When I ran these multi-million dollar Chevrolet dealerships, I understand, right, revenue, what's my compensation percentage to overall just bottom net, and all these other things that you have to know. But it's really just understanding people. And this is one thing that I want you to understand, or I want your audience to understand. Y'all watching right now, the true transformation comes in your life and in business when you open your heart. We try to lead so much with the intellect of our minds, and you do need to have that wisdom, that skill set, that knowledge. But the true transformation, that true next level of success for you, is open your heart. Because until you open your heart, then the true transformation is never going to happen in your thinking. Because I know so many people that they do that, and we've all heard of them, Jimbo, right? Overnight success, they make 1 million, and guess what? A year later, what happens? They lost their business, they're broke. because their heart wasn't in the right place. And in my book, The Makings of a Millionaire Mind, in our course, these 27 powerful modules, I walk you through the exercises that I did to change who I was to who I am now. Because it's a journey of becoming. You're becoming that multimillionaire with that mindset to handle the capacity. So what happens? Your character changes, your integrity is strengthened. And I don't mean moral integrity, I mean your foundation of your integrity to handle more.
Mm.
And I call it the journey of becoming in the book. And this is one thing where most people fail, and this is why they implode and they self-destruct, is because they don't protect their hearts. And I got to tell you, I have to tell your audience, you have to protect your heart in business, because if you don't protect your heart, it's easy to achieve a level of success that you've never had. And then you start treating people that are maybe not as successful as you the same way. And right away, right, there's always pride before the fall, but most people just are blind to it.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. And you're getting very in depth in your book now. And how was it like writing that? Because I noticed every, writer or author always has some interesting story to writing the book, from the editors to whether it was published or self-published. What was the stages of sort of writing this book?
I didn't want to write it. I had started writing the book. The idea came to me last year, probably about exactly a year ago. And I didn't have the title, didn't have it going. And then finally, like it's about in September, October, I got serious about it, went into prayer, and God said, okay, this is going to be the book. And didn't really have the title down either, but I knew I was going to have to do something with the millionaire life. And then as I started writing it, it was falling apart. I sent some stuff over to my editor, and she didn't get the files. And I just said, you know what? Forget it. I was traveling. I was speaking, because I speak all over the world. And I just got frustrated. I said, maybe it's a sign from God. I'm going the wrong way on the book. So I went back, assessed the book, reflected on what I wrote. I did 2 chapters, and I said, nah, it's not, it's not working, right? Actually, I did the introduction and the first chapter. So I took a break just to really clear my thoughts. And I didn't write for a month. And my wife came to me one morning and she said, Daniel, I said, what, honey? She says, God said to start writing the book. And I think what happened to be totally honest with you, Jimbo, there was a sense, with all the success I've had, there was a sense of imposter syndrome, because I was like, well, who is Daniel to write a book on the Millionaire Mind? Because I knew that there was going to be backlash, because people were, how people think, right? People that don't embrace success, they're like, oh, he's all about money now, and right? And I think there was a part of me that didn't want to deal with that didn't want to. But when my wife told me that, I dug a little bit deeper, and I really just self-assessed myself, and I said, what do I have to lose? Fast forward, I started writing the book little by little, Christmas break. Then January, I spoke in Atlanta with John Maxwell and Jesse Eitzler, and man, it was an amazing conference with over almost 300 people. And we sold out of the books, right? I finished speaking, and people just were touched. We sold over 45 books at our table. They were crying. We had nothing else to sell, because we sold out of books. So my assistant at the time says, well, we're going to pre-sell your book. All we had was a cover, right? We just had a cover that we printed at UPS. And we covered another book, and we pre-sold it. So now, Jimbo, I was obligated. And when I'm obligated and under stress, I perform better. So I came back and I had to finish the book, and there you go. And right, I caught wind, I caught fire. And I said, and at that point, I said, well, I got this. Let's just start doing the course. We started doing the course. Now, if you go to the makingsofamillionairemind.com, we can do an autographed copy, but you also get to see if you qualify for a scholarship for our course, where we help you with that. And it's just amazing. The feedback has been awesome. It's 27 powerful modules where I really walk you through the exercises that I did on myself on a daily basis, and really show you how to really not just to transform yourself and impact yourself to the manner where your mind is not going to be the same. And when you transform and shift your mind and really impact yourself through the exercises that I walk you through, 27 powerful modules, it's been life-changing for many people already. And that's what keeps me motivated and passionate.
Excellent. And so does the course you have and the book you have sort of do the same thing? Is it the same purpose or?
Yeah, they kind of so in the course and in the book, it definitely gives you the foundation. And then we talk about the money files, right? There's 12 money files in the book. It's three parts. You got the intro, then you got your part two, which is a money file, and then you got built right. I call it building your millionaire life brick by brick. So in the course, it's really instead of right, we have 12 money files. In the course, you have 27 money files. So it's really a lot of just additional value content that really goes deeper, right? I kind of tease you a little bit. Like I got that from John Maxwell. If you ever hear John Maxwell speak, John Maxwell says, well, I got 21 irrefutable laws of leadership, but I'm just going to go over 3 with you. Why does he do that? Because he sets you up to buy the 21 for the book, right? You want to know the other 17 or 18, you better buy the book.
Yeah.
So I introduce you to 12 of them, and the other 27 are in the course that are really powerful and that really help me go deeper and change who I am today.
Okay. That again is a very good business strategy.
Yeah, I mean it's I've been studying John Maxwell for probably over 17, 18 years, and it just he has good wisdom, right? I mean, it makes sense. I'm gonna give you a little teaser, right? Kind of like going to the grocery store over here in the States, they give you a little sample of a dessert, and that's enough to get you to, well, you know what, let me just buy it.
Okay. And this person, John Maxwell, is he sort of one of the people you sort of look up to? Is this one of your role models, or who is that person?
Well, John Maxwell is the number one leadership guy in the world. Actually, he's the highest paid speaker that's non-celebrity, and so he speaks all over. Actually, he speaks all over the world and very well respected in leadership and just organizations. He actually has a conference called the John Maxwell Team International. IMC. They call it International Maxwell Conference. So he's written. I don't want to lie to you, but he's written over 20 books, I believe. He's written quite a few books. So I recommend you maybe get one of his books. It definitely, I listen to one every once in a while on Audible, and it's good content, so it's good stuff. So, and to your point exactly, we all need mentors, we all need coaches, and most people think they can do it by themselves, and that's the biggest mistake that people make. Jimbo, is I can do it. No, you can't.
Yeah. And you need somebody to always, work with. So speaking of that, how did you build your team when it came to your business and what you were doing?
The foundation was set, like I said, from the automotive industry. And as I was growing and we were doing great, I came out of the gate as a motivational speaker doing 6 figures the first year, which was great. Second year, we did amazing too. And I think at that point, it really got to where our LinkedIn account was growing and I needed help because it was just, I was spending like 2 hours just on LinkedIn responding to comments or doing that. And so the first person I hired was a LinkedIn assistant. She helped me with that. And then from there, I had another young lady that helped me with just small end stuff. And really, you have to learn how to outsource we need to outsource it because you can't do everything by yourself. There's no way to scale if you don't outsource what you need to do, right? So I focused on my strengths. My strength was speaking, and everything else I outsourced. And then as we grew, now we do book publishing, right? One of our authors, Ron, he went bestseller, right? Number 1 bestseller. So now we have a book publishing division. We have a podcast launching division. So we have 4 people that we employ, and it's amazing, right? It's just to have people like that because you need a team. You need people to help you. And I think because the people don't have that millionaire mind, they think like an employee. They never hire anybody to help them, and they try to do everything themselves, and they self-destruct and self-sabotage that way too. And you can't do that. And I know you have an assistant because she reached out to me on LinkedIn also.
Yeah.
And it's like, we all need help. We all need it. So if you don't have that help, you can never grow and scale your business. So it's really knowing to focus on what you do best as a business owner and gradually, right, get comfortable with hiring somebody. Maybe for you, it's just 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week, and then going to 20, then 40. And right, I have someone that helps me. I just hired my daughter that we're going to start really grooming her to help me full time coming into 2023 because we're going to be doing a lot more things, and I just can't I can't do it by myself anymore, right? And as simple as, hey, go take this to the post office, and okay, dad, right? But not like that. But my other assistant that was part-time, there are just so many things that, right? I call them those little foxes that eat up at your time when my time is more valuable, right? Spending it here with you when I can pay somebody less my hourly rate, and that's how we're able to grow and scale at a phenomenal rate.
Exactly, and that's what you do. You know you're really good at certain things, and then you have other people that supplement for the other things, so you could focus in on what you need to get done. That makes a lot of sense. Very practical advice.
Yeah, but most people, the thing is this: since they have a poverty mindset, right? In the book, in the course, I call it a poor-minded financial inner economy. It's so hard for them to let go of that dollar. And since it's so hard for them to let go of that dollar, they rather die under the weight and the stress than pay somebody to help them because they think like an employee. They don't have the confidence in themselves to know that, right? This is one thing I think that helped me is one of my coaches told me this when I first got started. Daniel, if you already made $50,000, don't you think there's a high probability that you're gonna make another 50,000? I said, well, yeah. So then bet on yourself and do what, hire somebody then, right? Stop being scared. So if you've already done it once, remember what you've already done and go back and celebrate that victory again and say, you know what, if I did it before, I can do it again. And it helps to build your competency and your confidence in yourself, and you take bigger risk. It takes, right, to grow, you got to take bigger risk.
And when it comes to sort of your clients, what are some of your best client success stories? How did you kind of build confidence into other people? I think you mentioned your son, he may not have been a business client, but he seems to be a success story too.
Yeah, well, I think just really taking an organization that was losing $1 million to making $1 million, right? $2 million swing. I understand systems. I understand processes. I know how to build, right, winning championship teams, and just really helping them with their communication. And I think for like a good example, one of my clients, when I started helping her out, she had a small business, but it was really the belief system that I had to change, right? For her, it was the belief system.
Mm.
And she was making like $40,000 a year. I said, why are you, like, what's going on with this? You've been here for 3 years. And within the first year later, she was making $100,000 a year because, right, I had to change the belief system that she had the products and services to generate that much revenue. And then the belief in herself that she could do it. And now, right, she's doing phenomenal. Now she has, right, when I met her, it was just her. And now she has a total of, there's a team of 3, which is a lot for her. And they're growing, and right. And she has no problem because I had to unlock her belief system and get her away from that employee mindset, right? I call it killing the employee mindset and really embody the identity in her, Jimbo, to really see herself as a successful businesswoman.
Mm-hmm. And this employee mindset, how many people do you think have this mindset? And what is this Millionaire Mindset book the key to kind of breaking this thing or this disease?
Yeah, it unlocks it. Most people in America, over 90%, think in poverty. They're poor minded. And it doesn't matter if I speak in California, if I speak in Florida, everybody has the answers. So let me see. I'm going to start a sentence and you finish it, okay?
Okay.
Money doesn't grow on
Trees
who do you think you
are
the early bird gets the
first worm.
yeah. So how do you know that? You
Well,
don't
those
live
are
in
just
America. You don't live in
common
America.
statements. Yeah.
Huh?
Those are just common things you hear.
But that's how we're conditioned to think.
Huh.
Right? So I would say it's even bigger. It's even worldwide. We're taught money doesn't grow on trees. So what do you think? That creates a poverty mindset. That creates a lack mentality in you, in all of us. So over 90% of people in the United States, that's the way they think. You knew the answers without even really thinking about it because it's already why? It's already conditioned in you. It's already inside of you. So when you have that as your core belief system, it's hard to really believe and adapt that millionaire mind for yourself because you've thought this way for so many years. So it really takes to be intentional, right? Intentionality to really escape that way of thinking and really up level your life to another level.
Hmm. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. How did you know it? I had never talked to you before, and there was no script, but you knew the answer.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You're right. That's the only answer, really.
Yeah. So what I do, right, when we have these big corporate trainings, I'll have somebody from just say California and Baltimore, and I'll be like, "Where you from?" Baltimore. Okay, great. Where you from? And I purposely get people from other states to prove the point what I just did. And I'm like, "You mean to tell me, Mary, that you lived with John in Baltimore?" No, right? To have fun with them, but it's like, then how did you know the answer? Because we've been conditioned to think in poverty. We've been conditioned to think poor.
Hmm. Wow. And just, I don't mean to jump around here on the different topics, but you've also worked in the nonprofit sector as well, right?
Yeah, we have a nonprofit called the Mighty Strong Foundation. And with
Hmm.
the Mighty Strong Foundation, we help women with breast cancer. Like I said, my wife's a breast cancer survivor. So we give back to women that have had just some issues with breast cancer or have been impacted by breast cancer. So we help them to, right, whether it's through with helping them with radiation, supplementing that or chemotherapy or whatever they may need. It's called the Mighty Strong Foundation, and I love it because we give back to a lot of women. Because when my wife went through her journey, she went through her journey almost 4 years, and it's not easy. It's not easy,
Hmm.
but you got to have a God in your life first, and that definitely made it a lot easier. And then B, if you have people like myself and yourself that can give back and help, then it makes everybody's life a lot easier.
Hmm. How did it feel initially going through that? It must have been very tough. What was the first thought you had going through that?
Really, my first thought for myself was I knew it was God calling me closer to Him again.
Hmm.
Sometimes we get success, Jimbo, and we forget who the provider is. And life has a way of reminding you. And I think for my wife, it was just a matter of her attitude was she wasn't mad. I think so many people they take the wrong approach when cancer comes into their life, breast cancer in our case here, and it's like most people say this, right? And forgive me, right? But they say, "Oh, fuck cancer, forget cancer," right? They get angry. And what do? You put out that negative energy. So you're never going to get healed with that negative energy. And my wife's approach was she never asked. This is what I love about my wife. And she actually inspired me because there was many times that I was like, just, it wasn't easy for both of us. But for her, she would always say, why not me? She never said, why me? She never played the victim and said, why me? She always, and she would say this out loud. So it even affirmed it even more. She would always say, why not me? And just to see her have that resolve, to see her have that strength because of that. And she would say that pretty much once a week because she one thing she didn't want people to do is feel sorry for her. And it made her to the woman she is today. So I'm very proud of my wife because there was many times that she carried the family while she was going through her journey too, because it wasn't just easy not for my wife. I didn't realize this, but I went to a conference and we were there with Mel Robbins and they gave out this award to this doctor there. And the wife, the lady, the doctor was like, I want to just recognize my husband for being there by my side. And I said, why did you do that? And she said, because, there's a stat. I think it's a larger percentage, but it's over 50% of men leave their wives when they're going through breast cancer,
Hmm.
which I thought was pretty high. I wouldn't have thought it would have been that high, but that was the reality.
Wow.
So I think it's really just understanding that you have to just really honor your vows and help people when they need help, and especially when it's your wife. And we made it through it together. It wasn't her or me. It was as a family, my daughters, right? My son. Everybody was there for each other. So it was really a family journey that we all took on this.
That number is shockingly high. I never
Yeah,
knew that. Oh,
yeah. Because right, you think about it. I mean, I can't speak for other men, but I guess it's a coward's way out.
yeah.
So it's just not. It's why it's some people don't want to go to the inconvenience. I think so many times men are selfish and they don't want to go to the inconvenience and grow. Right. I think a lot of human beings get stuck and they get stuck with and they don't want to change. They don't want to grow, and you need to, especially nowadays.
And I think it just carries over to life in general. There's always going to be that dip before the amazing soar again, and you need to learn how to endure that dip. You know, I think someone said it. Embrace the suck. It's not great, but you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
Excellent. And as we continue moving through this, what's sort of a? Do you have a website by any chance?
So our main website's danielgomezglobal.com. That's danielgomezglobal.com. And that has our Shield of Faith coaching there. And then we also have a link to our other website, danielgomezspeaker.com. That's danielgomezspeaker.com. And then our new website, of course, is the makings of a millionairemind.com. That's the makings with an S, the makings of a millionairemind.com. And danielgomezspeaker.com was our first website that we put up. It's still there. And that's me training the United States Air Force, which is amazing because that was my big break. That was when I really took to the next level and people took me seriously. So it's been a fun ride, and what I want to do for your audience, anybody out there that maybe you need a little bit of help or you're kind of stuck right now, I want to offer your audience a complimentary 45-minute discovery session. That's a 45-minute discovery session, just me and you one-on-one. I'd love to help your audience with that, Jimbo, and see how we can maybe help a couple of them get unstuck or see what we can do. So we'll just definitely go to Daniel Gomez, even to danielgomezspeaker.com, this website right now. Just send me a message and tell me you want that complimentary discovery session, and I'll send you the link, and we'll get that scheduled right away for your audience.
Excellent. That's an amazing gift you're giving to the audience. Thank you.
Yes, and I mean, I love what I do, right? I love pouring into people, helping people, and when you do it, it sooner or later it comes back to you. And when you do it soon enough, all the time, your cup's always full. So there's never an empty moment.
Great. And what's interesting to me now is what's the future? Are you going to expand to different areas? Or are you going to continue focusing in on being a speaker and sort of helping people in the way you're doing now?
I think in the future, right? I think at some point we have some our podcasts, and I think in the future I'd actually see a TV show for us. I think that's something that's going to come, like a real TV show where we're able to do quality production on a good main network and really produce our brand. I think this is going to be our flagship brand, the makings of a millionaire mind, to where we're going to start having live boot camps right? We have the book, we have the course, and then we're going to have the live events where people are going to come. We're planning that for the month of September here in 2023. So we're going to get that rolling and off the ground. And I believe you just start where you're at. We host events here in San Antonio, many of them. We have our women's conference in October. And then next month in August, we're going to have our Sticker Shock, our speaking academy, where we train a lot of Toastmasters how to become paid speakers. Most people don't know how to become that paid speaker, and we help people to become that paid speaker. So moving forward is really just growing the brand, the makings of a millionaire mind. And then the second thing would be in the vision, right? In maybe a couple of years is get our TV show on an actual studio. And that would be awesome. So I like to have fun with people like that.
TV show.
Yeah. Take it to an actual broadcast show. I don't know if it'd be the Daniel Gomez Inspire show, but I see that in the future. I've had many people tell me that. They're like, sometimes you're funny, you're too funny. People need that laughter nowadays.
That's amazing. And, this is kind of jumping around a bit, but when you're making this TV show, what are you going to talk about? Are you just going to do normal speaking stuff, or how's that going to work?
No, I think just a lot of the content that we talk about right now, right? Just inspiration, faith, and I would say it'd be a little bit of faith, a little bit of inspiration, a little bit of business, and just tie it all together. and of course, right, relationships there. So it's always, I think it just be a mixture of everything, because a business, this is the mistake people make, is they say leave your problems at the door. And when I was in the automotive industry, they say leave your problems at the curb, and you can't, because if you're the business owner and you got marriage issues, your business is going to suffer. If you got problems with your kids, you're going to bring that to work. I mean, it affects your performance. So it's really, you have to be the whole package, and you have to be in sync and tune. So that's kind of what I envisioned for the show. And just really having people come in from different classes of life, right? Different, just people, maybe some stories of inspiration, some stories of encouragement, and others would be just really wisdom that people need to hear maybe for that day. So I think it's going to be a variety of inspiration, entrepreneurship, faith for sure, and definitely some God in there, and see what else happens.
Great. And you also mentioned you're a speaker, but I forgot to ask such a basic question. Were you always good at speaking?
I had raw talent, Jimbo. I
Okay.
had raw talent because when I ran, I ran the Chevrolet dealership for almost 13 years. And even though I ran it, I still love to do the training. I would always do the sales training every Monday. We'd have our big meetings on Monday. We had 100 employees there at the time. And I didn't do it because I was a micromanager. I did it because I love helping and pouring into our team, to our staff. And I think that, right, for week in, week out, I did it so much that I had that raw capability. So when I went to really become a speaker, even though I wasn't good to say like a professional level yet, I got there real quick because I already had the reps and I just didn't realize it. So
Hmm.
once I laser focused it in and really fine tuned what I was doing, it just took off. And that's when the United States Air Force called me, and I was like, when they called me, believe me, I rehearsed that presentation probably about 10 times. Because you got to practice. You got to practice to become a great speaker. And most people, they don't realize that it takes work. It takes discipline and commitment. And if it's just an idea, you're just never going to get anywhere. But you got to put the right actions, right? So many people say take action. Well, if you're taking the wrong action, it's not going to do you any good. But you have to take the right action.
Hmm. And you mentioned a big thing, rehearsing, but I have a feeling you rehearse, and then when you really present, you slightly improvise it a bit, but you still kind of go through that rehearsal.
Yeah, it gives you an idea, right? It kind of gives you that. It's kind of like golf. You kind of have the memory muscle that comes up, and as you rehearse it, you kind of just go through stuff, and maybe that didn't work too good, and then your heart knows, right? So, because a lot of times I speak from the heart. So when you practice and you rehearse it, your heart picks up on the things you need to say and you need to do.
Hmm. Okay, okay. The reason I'm asking is because, I know a lot of good presenters use that same pattern. So I was just interested. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You have to speak from your heart, because if you try to memorize something, it just, people can sense it and it doesn't connect with the audience. You have to let that, right. I say the Holy Spirit flow through you. Yeah, it has to, because if not, there's no power in it. There's no passion. It's just a blah. It's just words you're speaking, and anybody can speak words.
All right. Now, just to end this off a bit, I have a few more questions. So, if you could go back in time and speak to your younger self, what would you say to him?
Dream bigger.
Dream it.
Dream bigger. You're worth more. I think we have small mindedness. We have to be delivered from small mindedness. And if I would have, right, like my son's 26, if I had his mindset, man, Lord knows where I'd be right now. But he definitely thinks a different level higher than what I did at his age. So I would say dream bigger, dream bigger, dream bigger, dream bigger, dream bigger. You cannot dream bigger enough. Let me say that again. You cannot dream bigger enough. You got to continue to stretch your imagination and go for something bigger.
Hmm. Amazing. And, you know, when it comes to, dreaming and thinking big, how did you actually begin to dream and think big?
I think we just never had much when I was little. We grew up poor, and Even though we had a house and food, the basics, I just always had that desire to want more. I always had the desire to just, why not Daniel Gomez? Why not? Just seeing the nicer houses, the nicer cars along the way. I rode the bus a lot when I was a kid. I would ride the bus from one side of the city to the other side of San Antonio by myself when my mom was in the hospital. And it was just like, you see things, right? As you're passing by and you see like, man, and you learn that Mercedes are nice. You learn that it's a different demographic. You learn that. And one day I said, why not Daniel, right? If God is really God, then there's no limitations, only the ones I put on myself. And now we have a very beautiful home by the grace of God. We live in a very nice neighborhood and we don't lack for anything. And because of that abundance that we have, we're able to help people and give back to orphanage. We support orphanages in Africa, some homeless just ministries here in San Antonio. And you got to give back. So many people are selfish and they just think about themselves, and you gotta give back to the world, Jimbo.
It's a beautiful thing to say. Yeah, give back. Great. And are there any, final words, you would like to kind of deliver to the audience here?
Yeah, of course. I would say this. I would say, look, maybe you're not where you want to be in life. Maybe you're not. But there comes a point in your life, regardless of where you live and where you're at, you have to take responsibility for your actions. You got to stop playing the blame game. You got to stop complaining. Don't complain. One thing that's going to kill your dreams, one thing that's going to kill your next level opportunity is complaining. The moment you stop complaining, I challenge you this month right now, it's July 1st. I challenge you not to complain for 30 days, this entire month of July, and see how your life's going to change. And I promise you this, if you give God a space and a place in your life, he's not going to disappoint you. And if God can take mold, smelly old mold, and turn it into penicillin, what can he not do in your life if you allow him to? And if no one's ever told you they believe in you, this is Daniel Gomez Inspire saying, right now you're watching this, I believe in you.
Thank you again, Mr. Gomez. It's been a privilege.
Well, Jimbo Paris, thank you for having me, my brother. I had a great time. It's whatever I can do for you in the future, I'm always here for you. It's a blessing to add value to your audience.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So just a quick little shout out. We have some sponsors. Anne and Kemiana Jones Bay. They are a part of Six Figure University, teaching you how to make six figures. One used to run a salon shop. The other used to be an engineer. And now they're teaching you how to make salons and sort of get into real estate as well. Next person is Judy Ryan from LifeWork Systems. She's basically an HR superstar. This is our collaborative partner. If you're interested in also working with this type of person as well to help your employee work structure, speak to us. And then also we have a YouTube channel. We're growing in subscribers. Keep subscribing to us now. We'd love that. And then finally, we're available on Roku. This episode will be on our Roku TV channel as well as all the other episodes. So please check that out as well. All right. Thank you for for watching the Jimbo Paris Show.
Hey, Jimbo, thank you for having me, everybody. God bless y'all.
Thank you for listening to the Jimbo Paris Show.